Okay, everybody, what we're going to be working on today is the first of two videos on the introduction to sketching. First thing, we're going to start off with some of the basics of sketching. Essential questions for this little lesson here are: what are some of the strategies for sketching lines and circles, which we'll talk about in class? What are the different types of lines used in sketches, of which there are 4 different types? And how can we determine which type of line is being used? By looking at a picture. Okay, so first thing, basically what sketching is used for, one of the main things it's used for is to brainstorm ideas. As you guys saw before when we were watching the video on the students building cardboard furniture, they use sketches to come up with ideas. However, also it can be used to communicate your idea to a partner or the teacher. This is very important because sometimes an idea in your head really makes sense, but you're going to be a part of a group and they're not just going to blindly go with you. You have to give them a picture and an idea so they can kind of figure out where you're coming from. So it's very important as well to use as a way to convey your ideas. There are 2 kinds of sketches that we're going to be using. One is called isometric, which is basically 3D views, okay? And the second kind, which is orthographic. That basically is multiple views in 2D, so flat, of 3 different faces. So first of all, we're going to go over a basic strategy of drawing a straight line. And you might think that's kind of silly, but this is something that will work even if you don't have a ruler. And when you do have a ruler, it still guarantees a nice straight line. So first of all, we're going to go through 3 steps. First step, you're going to go ahead and mark the endpoints. So wherever you want your line to be, you're going to mark those 2 endpoints. Then you're going to dot the line, okay? And this is something, again, easy to do without a ruler. It's hard to draw a perfectly straight line, but you can make dashed lines. And then what you're going to basically do is fill in the blanks, okay? So connect that into a straight line. And that's a really good strategy to go ahead and do that. So now that you've done that, make another line, okay, on your graph paper, on your notes, and go ahead and draw that. Okay, so hopefully you followed those 3 steps. That's just a quick introduction. Circles, we're going to talk about in class how to draw circles using a special compass that I like to use for drawing. There are strategies that can be used. It's about a 6-step strategy for drawing circles, and we'll talk about that as well. But for the most part in my class, you'll be able to have a compass to help you make it easier. Okay, there are 4 types of lines that are used in sketching. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to show what it looks like, and then we're going to say what it is. So first thing, we're going to talk about object lines. These are the actual thing you're drawing. These lines tend to be darker, solid lines written only in pencil. The second one is construction lines. These are lines that you draw on there only to help you make your picture. So it might be straight lines to find a corner. It might be little marks that you have on there. Those are called construction lines. They're also solid. They just tend to be much lighter. Okay, because you may want to erase them later, or at the very least, you don't want people to confuse them with object lines. Also, construction lines should not connect to the figure, so they can cross over it, but they should not be connecting, and that's where we saw those little empty spaces when we were dimensioning things earlier in this year. Hidden lines. Okay, what this means is it means lines that you can't see but exist in 2 dimensions. So it may be something that's behind what you're seeing. The way you show that is you use a simple dotted line. Okay, and then the last one is center lines. So this could be the center of a circle, the center of a hole, okay? And the way you do that is basically similar dotted lines, but what you have is longer lines and then short lines, and longer lines and then short lines. And those represent center lines. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to pause the video. I have A through G labeled. And what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and try to determine what each type of line is. Is it an object, a construction, a hidden, or a center line? Okay, so pause the video until you get all of them filled out. Don't worry if any of them are wrong. We're going to go over all of them and you'll have a chance to update it. But go ahead and give it your best guess based on what you've just learned. So pause the video, hit play when you're ready. Okay, so we're going to start with A. A is an object line. It falls directly on the outside of the figure and is a dark solid line. Okay, looking at B, as you can see, it goes right into the center of that what appears to be a circular hole. So that is a center line. C is a light-colored line that doesn't quite connect and is much lighter than everything else. That is a construction line. D is a little tricky. Kind of looks like an object line, but at the same time, if you think about the way the shape of the object is, it doesn't really make sense. So that's why what it is, if you look, it's going directly into the center of a circle, so it ends up being a center line. E, as you can see, is a dotted line, okay, which means it is a hidden line. F is a little hard to see, but basically it was a sketched line that was really lightly done to help the person make their figure, which means it is a construction line. And the last one, G, again, as you can see, it's pointing at the edge of it, so you might get confused and think it's a center line. There is a center line there next to it, but what it's pointing at is actually a hidden line because it's dotted and it's not in the center of a circular shape. So hopefully this gave you a good overview as to the different types of lines and some of the basics of sketching. It was a very quick video, so you're going to now move on to the second video.